So yes, a couple of years ago we did do a video that had this very title, hence why this time we've just smashed "and again" on the end of it, and I think that in itself has summed up the problem. Like, after the worst Raw reigns in the history of the world, which does mean doom and gloom, Vince McMahon has decided, well, I better do something to shake up my Monday night programming. And who even knows what that means anymore? And that gets even more convoluted because there was a rumor going around recently saying that the USA Network had gone to WWE officials and said, we want more adult, hardcore, edgy content. And that was poo-pooed in around about 3 seconds. But yes, it does seem like WWE is about to hit the creative reset button again. Why? Here's why. And the easy answer to all of this, of course, is that Raw has become stale. Even though you do have brilliant highlights such as Drew McIntyre and the Hurt Business, it means nothing if people aren't picking up the remote control and tuning in. Like, you could have the best wrestling in the world, wrestling so good it makes you cry, but if nobody else cares about it, then it's like the tree that falls in the wood. Does it even make a sound? And there are some glaring issues too that just do not make any sense. Take the most recent pay-per-view known as TLC 2020. We had a Firefly Funhouse Inferno match, but it wasn't announced on Raw. It was just thrown out there into social media because why the hell not? Even if you've got millions of followers, which WWE does, not every single one is going to see this, and also it instantly makes it come across like that is not a big deal. If you can't be bothered to talk about it on your show that's been going on for about 556 years, most fans will go, well, I guess they just made it up, during the week, which is probably what they did. And that may sound like an over-exaggeration, but just think of it like this: a huge announcement on a show that you tune into, or just another Twitter post after you've already seen 42,569 in a day. Because we just sit there going refresh, refresh, retweet, dislike, refresh. Surely WWE must know this too, because the unthinkable happened recently on NXT. They actually advertised some matches beforehand, and lo and behold, when that episode rolled around, it did a much better rating than usual. I mean, who can figure out somebody called Sherlock Holmes? I mean, who knew that giving fans a hint of what they could expect would make them go, hey, I've been enticed in? And also, it goes to show who your current audience is right now. They probably saw something like Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly and thought, well, that sounds faboo, in I go. And the importance of any match is always going to start with the company known as World Wrestling Entertainment. Like, even back in the day, think of Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, which kind of sells itself. If Hulk Hogan and The Rock had come out on Raw and gone, well, you can tune in if you want, I don't know, it's not going to be that good, we don't really care about it, you will sit there and go, well, if they're saying that, I'm not wasting my $50, I'm not a moron. It naturally will seep into your bones and you won't give a damn. I mean, why the hell do you think an interview in wrestling is called a promo? I'll give you a few seconds to figure it out. If nothing else, Raw just feels like the same show over and over again, and it has done for a few years, and given the current wrestling landscape, that is not going to work, because usually what does happen when it comes to professional wrestling is that you do make new fans within the cycle, and enough time has passed that you can go back to the future and do what you did like 5 years ago, but it feels new to your new fans, so everything's alright. The problem, however, of course, is right now, we ain't making new fans. But that means if you do want to get people to tap into your product, you have to focus on these hardcores that are watching every single week, or at the moment are saying, hey, I don't want to watch this anymore because I suppose they're a little bit bored. And I get this too, I really do. Like, if the next Raw you see starts off with an opening interview that builds to that night's main event, and then you get a tag team match featuring a bunch of people that are doing a singles feud, and then you get a comedic R-Truth segment, you probably could have screwed all this down like I basically just did and just gone tick, 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 tick. You're not gonna fall through the floor in terror. It'll be like, oh my gosh, where has this come from? And while I do know some people praise John Morrison, The Miz and AJ Styles for that Christmas sing-song they did recently, let's be honest. If you've never watched before and that's the first thing you see, you're gonna facepalm and say out loud, even if no one's around, this is why I never bother. It's so stupid. And this isn't those guys' fault. This is their job. They're just going out there and being told what they need to do. But given that WWE is the market leader, they should be innovating and they should be leading this train forward. Even AEW, that's been on a tear recently, kind of experienced this recently. They had that episode of Dynamite that did a crazy number when Hangman Page and the Dark Order were taking on Private Party and Matt Hardy. But then all of a sudden, loads of people just decided they want to see anything else. I mean, who knows why? There's never a proper answer. But if they've got to be prepared for that, then my word, Raw does too. Simply put, if you fail to entice that viewer in, Everything else will fall down like a stack of cards. It's also even more ridiculous because about 2 years ago, the McMahons and Triple H came out in front of a live crowd and went, "We're so sorry, Raw's rubbish. We're gonna make it better." And it was like back in 1997, almost to the day, when Vince McMahon did that video thing where he went, "We think that you here at the WWE are tired of having your intelligence insulted. Passe, heels, faces, no more." And what he was doing there is he was saying goodbye to the old days and he was welcoming the new days, which of course would turn into the Attitude Era and made WWF as it was then feel fresh. Now, do not get me wrong, I am not saying bring back the Attitude Era, that's going to the past. We need to come up with something new, and who knows what that is. Thankfully, it's not my job to come up with it. I'm just a bored a-hole on the internet. But there are some simple stuff you could do right now. For example, start pushing new people, stop with the 50-50 booking, for the love of everything, kill the surprise roll-up, and let's have some clean finishes, and let's make our main edict to create some flipping stars. And I know, Drew McIntyre's had a great 2020, but I didn't say push one guy and make him a star. I'm saying push loads. Otis, Big E, Cesaro, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Chad Gable, Keith Lee, Shayna Baszler, Mustafa Ali. I mean, we could do this all day, but we won't because it will get really, really dull. But you can't just let these guys off the leash for 3 weeks and then pull them back in. You have to give them loads of time to see if the average wrestling fan goes, "Hey, who's that guy? I'm interested." Of course, not all of these are going to work, but you have to give them the opportunity to sink just in case they start to swim. Because if you don't, and you do just keep going copy and pasting, well, that's the definition of insanity. You don't change anything, but you expect different results. Even thinking on a far shallower level, just remember how long Raw has been going on for. You can't just keep doing the same thing each and every week. You put yourself in a position where that's not allowed. You don't need to do anything nuts either. For now, why don't you just sit down and go, let's concentrate on long-term storytelling. And it's not like WWE isn't already doing this. Just go pop along to SmackDown and look at Roman Reigns, one of the greatest characters they've had a hand in ages. I mean, he is running a thread between all of his feuds. He also feels like a real dude, and I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear, do you know one of the people who is having major input into this? That's right, it's Roman Reigns. Who knew that a wrestler would understand their own character? And do you know who else used to do this kind of thing too and say, yes, I'll do that or no, I won't? Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena. And I understand that didn't always work out. For example, John Cena shouldn't have beat the Nexus, but look where the hell it got him, and look what it did for WWE's bottom line. Pun intended. I suppose the difference this time is that WWE has to follow through with it, because when they did do it 24 or so months ago, they've lost around about 1 million people. And I would bet my ass, and I put a lot of worth in my ass, that they went, well, I kind of feel like I've been lied to, because you promised change and I didn't get it. I'm done. If you do it again, who the hell knows where we wind up? The boy who cried wolf is a very old fable for a reason, because it's true and it never goes out of date. You can't keep pulling the wool over people's eyes. It starts to make them feel like they've been let down. No one likes to be let down, especially when your mum looks at you and go, I've been let down. You go to your room and you cry. You would have rather had a smack. If you want to break it right down and keep it even simpler, nothing changes if nothing changes. How are you going to turn the ship around if you're just plowing in one direction? And these smaller upstarts won't work either. Like the Thunderdome was absolutely something that WWE had to do, but we've already seen the novelty has worn off. And if you do want to do Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, you know what? I'm all right with it, but you have to take the tribal chief and he has to run through Billy Boy, even though he's my dad. Because it's a great scalp for the big dog, but the aim of it has to be get a few nostalgic fans to tune in to see Goldberg, their WCW hero, but then check out the rest of the show and go, wow, all these new people, they seem really fun. I now consider myself a weekly viewer. So 2021 is going to be a massive year for WWE, especially because when it does come to ratings and demographics, AEW is breathing right up their neck. But I actually think that is for the best. It means we all have to be on our toes, but it also gives other wrestlers a choice when it comes to where they work. So if they're not being used, and they're not being pushed, or they are giving a crap gimmick, when their contracts come due, they can say, bye-bye, I'm heading to the competition. And while it's not gonna happen 100% of the time, what if you do let that happen, and your golden goose just jump somewhere else? So yeah, change WWE, and if nothing else, believe in this change and believe you can do it. And you know what? Just cut Raw down to 2 hours. I know straight away the comments, Simon, they're never going to cut it down to 2 hours because they lose an hour in revenue. But what is Raw? What is WWE? A business. What is the USA Network? A business. You can't find a way to fill this financial hole? I would say you're not trying hard enough. I mean, just find a way to make it back. That is literally your job. I mean, that is never going to happen, so let's just take it and throw it over there. But for the rest of it, I agree too. We need to see something new, and we need to see it yesterday. Probably 10 years ago. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all this. Then like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, and before everybody does melt down, I want everybody to know I love WWE, I love AEW, I just love wrestling, and I want to see it succeed in any way possible. And look, WWE has crazy potential. Look at that talent roster, but now is the time to let them fly. See you soon.